Today we're going to learn how to do flipbook animations. Here's an example of a simple flipbook animation. It's called Cat Dancer. So as you can see, it's just like a 7-8 second animation. Simple lines. And we can look at this one more time. So as you can see, we have one simple motion, and then it's followed by a transformation, and then it exits the flipbook frame, kind of like a theatrical stage. The best way for us to start learning how to create our flipbooks is to start with a simple pack of Post-it notes. And our first activity is simply to show that we understand the principles of animation by animating a simple dot. So the first thing that we need to think about is how far back do we bend our Post-it note? Well, I'm going to put my finger right in the middle of the Post-it pack and say right now that if you bend it back further than here, you are at risk of separating your Post-it notes, because if these things peel apart, well, you're going to need some duct tape to get them back together again. And you're going to have a devil of a time trying to line it up on the edges, because the reality is that unless these are perfectly flush and, line up perfectly, they're going to be a difficult time to flip. So never peel your Post-it pack back further than the middle. Now we're going to go to the last page. So many of us are thinking that we're going to do this backwards, but this is the best way. And the reason is because we're going to make our first dot. And then if you peel this paper down, you'll notice you see a ghost image of the previous dot. And what that means is that you can just make another dot. You'll notice it's almost touching the ghost dot. Now I'm going to pull down another page. I'm going to touch that dot. I'm going to pull it down again. And I'm just moving my dot in the direction that I want to go, making sure that I'm still touching the transparent dot. So I'm going to keep moving my dots in one direction. It's going to seem tedious. Many of us will get impatient, and we're going to want to put a greater separation between our dots. Don't do it. Because not only will, if you do it, you won't get to move on to the next activity. You'll simply have to do it all over again until you can demonstrate that skill. Now, I've taken almost 10 pages just to move my dot an inch. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. Let's see if our dot is animated. There we go. Let's do that one more time. There we go. So we have now successfully animated a dot. A few ideas I want to suggest in not only moving your dot, you can have it bounce off walls, you can go off one end and have it come out the other, or you can make your dot bigger. So for instance, if I want my dot to grow, I can just each page make the dot just a little bit bigger. Takes a little bit more time, of course. Could make my dot fill up the whole page. Now let's go ahead and just see what that one little thing did. Bigger, bigger, and bigger. I could probably do a whole lot more frames to demonstrate that principle better. So one last thing I want to mention before we start animating our dot is this. You're going to write your name on the front of the book, last initial, and you're also going to write your class code. And then you're going to begin. Your goal is to animate the entire book with one dot. And the simple addition of another dot will disqualify you from moving on to the activity. So I suggest that you keep it simple, but make it interesting somehow. Thank you so much. I look forward to beginning animation.